He is the captain of the Third Brotherhood of the White Scars. He is a character who offers diplomacy by silencing his enemies with his blade. He is a keen and deadly master of the hunt. He is Kor'sarro Khan. Welcome back, brothers and sisters of the chapter. This is Sprues and Studs, and surprise, surprise, we have yet more action figures to review. And what are we reviewing? Obviously, you know what we're reviewing. We're going to be reviewing JoyToy's first foray into the White Scars. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the unique character Kor'sarro Khan, which is a really badass icon in the Warhammer 40K universe. So let's just not waste any time and just dive right on in. All right, let's hurry up and get this captain to the front lines of the battle. All right, now the plastic wrapping is off. Let's see what we got inside. Wow, that's a lot of stuff that's going on there. There we go. All right, we have Captain Kor'sarro Khan in his full glory over here with this panoply of weaponry and accessories here. So, as usual, we will always focus in on the accessories first and then move on to looking at the action figure itself. Starting off with the bolt pistol, I don't think there's really much to say, actually. So this follows your standard bolt pistol protocols where you have your lighter silver here and then the dark gunmetal silver, and it's been weathered by a light silver over here. And now we will move on to this very, very cool sword. This is called Moonfang, and this is a unique sword that is wieldable by Kor'sarro Khan. So what I think, there are a lot of things going on with this sword that I really like. Obviously, this is a saber kind of look. And then in terms of the painting wise, I do like how it's a very different gradient because you've got the light silver gradient on the edge of the blade, and then it gets gradually darker at the back of the blade. Usually it's like light silver up here, and then it'll transition to dark silver down here. So this is very unique that I really like. And then obviously there are other accompaniments to this blade that you don't really find in other Space Marine action figures. So the first thing is this horse over here. It's very unique and obviously translates very well to the White Scars iconography. I think this is badass looking and further differentiates this sword away from its regular brothers and predecessors. And then looking at this tassel too, it is pretty cool. This tassel is like a third of the sword and gives this action figure a ton of uniqueness that I really like. So this will definitely be proudly displayed in my display case just because this sword is so beautiful and so unique. And then moving on, we have a Cyberbird. I believe that is called the Burkut Anzuk. And this thing is really cool too. I really like how it's got the cyber implant over here, and it looks like a hawk or a falcon or an eagle. I'm not exactly sure what is 100% supposed to be. I do like the shading that's going on over here, although one thing nitpicky I'm going to say is I wish the shading was a little bit more even, because you've got some shading that's a little bit too light over here, and then there's too much shading in the sides over here. But overall, this is a very, very cool looking piece. Next, we will take a look at Kor'sarro's cape, and this cape is very cool too. Again, made of the same soft material that you would find on any single one of the Space Marines that JoyToy produces. And what's really cool about this cape is that it really reminds me of Space Wolves, and how it has this cloak of fur up here that further differentiates this action figure. As you turn it around, you do get to see some color transition and shading that's going on. So I really like the color of this fur, and again, this lighter transition that goes from these lighter brown to this very dark brown. And looking at the back of the cape over here, it looks absolutely flawless in terms of its shading, with the shades always in the valleys over here, and then the peaks are a lighter red. So fantastic job by JoyToy right here. And flipping around, you get to see some purity seals. There's a fairly prominent mold line, as you can see over here. Your backpack is of a standard Space Marine backpack. I suppose there's really nothing too much to say. about this, except that, again, JoyToy likes their whites to be heavily weathered, so you are looking at a very heavily weathered backpack. And then this is the banner that goes onto the back of the backpack, and I would have to say that in terms of the look, it is very unique in that I don't think I've ever seen a banner such as this being produced quite yet. I really like the tassels that are hanging down below the skulls. I'll have to say though, as a painter, the look of the skulls is a bit too much in terms of the shading on the eye sockets. Sometimes I complain there's too little. I think in this manner, this is a little bit too much. And then as you're looking at the seal over here, I kind of really wish that the chapter symbol was a little bit cleaner, because this is something that you're going to be seeing front and center on this action figure. Now, time to look at Kor'sarro. So, as usual, I always like to start off with the face, and again, I'm always blown away by JoyToy's accuracy and how they're able to paint these faces, especially the eyes, on something this small of a scale. So you, again, see the irises, and you see the detail on the eyes, and you almost can see like a glint, but you also see a lot of highlights that are going on with the hair tassels over here, and then along with the beard and the mustache. Then pauldron wise, you do get the shading on the side, and then flipping over here, you obviously have the White Scars chapter symbol, which again is very, very cleanly printed on. JoyToy almost always does an excellent job with the screening on this thing, so very impressive. We're looking at the chest armor. It's also very cool in that I really like how the wings here, you see this is an iridescent kind of color, which brings out a lot more character rather than just a flat red that you see here. So I like this metallic look for sure. One thing that I'll point out to you is very cool in that Corsaro has got like a falconer's glove too, so that Anza can actually sit on his forearm. So looking at the belt region, you get these tassels over here that is very similar to the banners that are up there, if not 100% similar. Then you have a gigantic belt buckle over here that really jumps out and is the first thing that you see on the belt. And just taking a look at the rest of the legs itself, no, this is not as fancy as the Grey Knights, but this is still pretty interesting looking. So you got the White Scars lightning symbol down here, again, very well screened. And then you have, oh, this is kind of interesting too. Usually JoyToy leaves this wreath a very light green color, so it looks like they did some highlights with yellow. Then let's just take a look at the back. I don't think there's really anything much to see. Again, you have a lot of shading and a ton of weathering that you can find back here. All right, let's take a look at Kor'sarro's articulation. Again, I don't really think that's too much of a departure from what we're used to from a JoyToy 2.0 figure. So about the neck area, 360 degrees. About the shoulder area, 360 degrees of rotation, as usual. No problem there. And then the arm region can be rotated 360 degrees. Double jointed elbows, so you can push it in once, push it in again twice. The wrist has 360 degrees of rotation with a bunch of wobble. More wobbling here between the chest area and the torso area, like you see. Then moving on with the torso to the waist region, this is where you get the 360 degrees of rotation, although I think that it might be a little bit tough with these tassels that are getting in the way. So let me see if I can actually do this. You have to almost like premeditate this. Maybe you can't because I just popped this off, but I think that if this wasn't in the way, so if you just did it like this, you definitely can get 360 degrees of rotation. So I'll just pop it back on. About the leg area, I believe that you can also get 360 degrees of rotation, although it might be a slight stretch. There you go, 360 degrees. Knee area, again, double jointed, so you can kick this out back once and then kick it out again here. Same old wobble with your ankle area, and then more balancing with the toe. So no departure from what we're used to on this action figure. All right, the last thing to do is basically give Corsaro his armaments so he can effectively lead his Space Marines into battle. So the first thing that we're going to do is going to give him his regal cape. So it's very easy. You just put it in this predetermined slot hole over here, and then you secure it. Uh-oh. Oh no, that sucks. I just noticed this thing. Well, typically there's 2 pegs here, and unfortunately the top peg broke in Corsaro's back. No big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and reattach this thing here, and then you put the banner on this peg here, like so. And then you will get Anzac that sits on this little notch over here. I'm going to give a Moonfang. There you go. The stability on this thing is a little lacking, but you get the picture. All right, folks, that is Khan fully reviewed, so let me wrap this up with my final thoughts. Ooh, there's a lot of things that are going on with this action figure, especially with all the unique accessories that are going on it. Obviously, you have Anzac over here, which, again, you're never really going to find on any other action figure that's going to be produced by JoyToy, maybe in the future. And then what I really find absolutely phenomenal is this sword over here. It just has such a unique look and a curve to it, as well as a very, very unique painting style that I really like. And the last thing I'm really a fan of is just this cape. It is so badass. I love that furry collar that sits really high up top, and then it just flows very nicely out back. So obviously, if you are a White Scar collector, this is an absolute no-brainer for you to buy. If you're a fan of buying unique name characters, then again, I fully encourage you on getting this action figure too, because there are so many things that are unique with Kor'sarro Khan over here. This is Sprues and Studs. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support that you've been giving me as of late. Obviously, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you all and your devotion to this channel, as well as my reviews. So thank you so much for that. And as usual, I'll see you all in the next one.